It is the first Shabbat of Elul, the month preceding the High Holy Days. It is customary to approach Elul differently than any other Jewish month of the year, since the High Holy Days represent for our community a peak. This year, more than any other that I can remember, I appreciate this unique month and the ways in which our calendar and life cycle events enable us to make sacred connections all around us all the time. Our daughter Carly got married on Saturday night, on the threshold of the month of Elul. And as she and Michael stood under the chuppah, I glanced over at their ketubah next to them and saw those beautiful words from the Song of Songs in Hebrew and English embedded in the artwork over the ketubah text. I am my beloved, and my beloved is mine. Ani ledodi v'dodi li. It all came together for me in that moment. In addition to its meaning as a month, the word Elul is also an acronym for those words, Ani ledodi v'dodi li. The first letters of each word in that four-word biblical phrase form the word Elul. The rabbis explained this is because during the month of Elul, our relationship to God and to one another have the potential to be at their most meaningful and intimate. Our Torah portion this week, Shoftim, read during these opening days of Elul, carries a message for us too as we draw closer to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. The portion begins with a direction about how the society was to be organized around the value of tzedek, justice. You shall appoint magistrates and officials for your tribes in all the settlements that Adonai your God is giving you, and they shall govern the people with due justice. Also included in this week's portion is the famous injunction that stresses the centrality of tzedek, of justice. Tzedek, tzedek tirdof. Justice, justice shall you pursue, that you may thrive and occupy the land that Adonai your God is giving you. For me, the justice in Parashat Shoftim is not just about our court system, but also about the higher levels of justice that we come to associate with the High Holy Days, the more challenging aspects of justice that we wrestle with and sometimes even suffer from. It foreshadows the Unatana Tokef of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, its enigmatic explanation of a justice that makes us uneasy. The same inexplicable justice that we mention when we put on a shiva ribbon prior to a funeral of an immediate family member and say, "Blessed are you, Adonai, eternal judge of truth," tzedek. We have said those words together when it is difficult, unnatural, even offensive to bless God upon the death of a child following a terrible accident, when loved ones have no opportunity to prepare or to say goodbye. These are moments when the God of justice hands us a verdict with which we disagree with every fiber of our bodies and our souls. Justice is indeed a beautiful concept, but it can also sting and burn. We enter Elul aware of this difficulty, this tension. But midway through the portion this week, we also discover a harbinger of the gentler side of the High Holy Days and the sweetness of Elul, which, like a wedding ceremony or the birth of a new baby, reminds us of the goodness in our world, the miraculous alignment of our lives with God and the universe. The great 19th century German commentator and father of modern Orthodox, Samson Raphael Hirsch, was once asked by his students, "Rabbi, what is your most favorite verse in the Bible?" He answered, "Your question catches me by surprise. My favorite verse? Come on, Rabbi, what verse do you fall back on when the going gets tough?" "Put that way," he responded, "I have my answer. In fact, it comes from this week's Torah portion," he said. It comes down to 5 words this week. Tamim tihyeh im Adonai Elohecha. Be wholehearted with Adonai your God. Tamim, wholehearted. What does it mean to be wholehearted with God? It is not easy to define what type of person qualifies as wholehearted. There are many translations and references to the word tamim in the Bible. Noah is described as one who is tamim bedorotav, as the only blameless person in an evil generation. Jacob is known as a wholehearted man, an ish tam, who stayed within the tents and unlike his twin brother Esau, was not a skilled hunter. The Ben Tam is the third of the 4th sons or children of the Passover Seder, who is called Tam in the sense of the simple one, the one who is naive and may not know how to perform even the most basic ritual. The commentators suggest that tamim in this week's Torah portion actually means to be completely with God in the present, not looking to the future, just being. This week, Moses says, when we feel challenged or frightened, it is natural for us to want to know the future, to predict what may be coming next. But Moses warns that Israel must not be like all the other nations who, quote, go outside themselves to consult with astrologers or magicians. Rather, he indicates, the children of Israel shall live differently. While we may be tempted to anticipate, to catch a glimpse of what may come ahead, we are told rather to be tamim, to be inwardly focused, introspective, reflective, to avoid going to external forces, but rather to set our sights on what is deep inside us, using our hearts and our minds to discover meaning. As such, tamimut, wholeheartedness, refers to living simply, creating an inner world for ourselves, creating an intimate, integrated, and developed sense of quiet and calm. Which brings us back to the moment in which we find ourselves, to this month of Elul and the approach of the High Holy Days. This month, we practice for the new year and the Day of Atonement, trying to balance the strict justice of tzedek and the unatana tokef with the tmimut, the wholeheartedness of living simply from the inside out. By taking care of ourselves and aligning ourselves with positive deeds and optimistic people, by believing that we have sufficient inner strength, calm, and equanimity to do the work of teshuvah, of turning, in the coming weeks and reach ever higher levels of health and well-being. In our complex world, the month of Elul comes with the gift of teshuvah, of the time and space to return, to simplify our lives so that we can contemplate the past and enter the future renewed and hopeful. It is that willingness to accept ourselves as we are, without feeling the need to rationalize, without analyzing every detail of each action and interaction. It is the blessing of living with tmimut, with full acceptance of who we are, and with the simple resolve to improve wholeheartedly, purely. The next month, as we count the days to the new year, the process of teshuvah, of making amends, of searching our souls, of doing the work of turning, can feel overwhelming. We do not know what the verdict may be and whether justice will be fair and give us what we deserve. The message of this week's Torah portion, Shoftim, is to look inside and quiet our souls so that we can enter the High Holy Days feeling lighter, more complete, walking more wholeheartedly with one another as we work to fashion a future that is better than the past. Shabbat Shalom.